So it is 9:41. I'm 30 seconds over, but I am going to be handing over to Maree Todd. Maree Todd is the Minister for Children and Young People at the Scottish Government. She grew up in the West Highlands. She's a pharmacist by profession. Maree worked in the NHS Highlands for 20 years, mainly as mental health pharmacist in a psychiatric hospital. She also contributed to sign guidance on perinatal mental health, and we are very grateful for her time and looking forward to hearing from her and the response of the Scottish Government to the third sector and the resilience that it's shown. Thank you.
Maree Todd here. I'm sorry, I'm so good at Zoom conferences. I'm not sure whether I should need to unmute myself or not. So it's very lovely to see you all. We're getting the hang of this weird new world, and I fully empathise for everyone. I may have a dog barking in the background at some point during my speech, and I'm coming to you. This is the Scottish Government coming to you from the Scottish Highlands, not the West Highlands anymore, but I'm still in Wester Ross. So it's very, very lovely to be with you this morning, and thank you for inviting me to speak today. It is such a different conference to the one that we imagined back in March when I was first invited. So I want to thank all of you, the Corra Foundation staff particularly, for working so hard to come up with innovative ideas and planning for today. It's wonderful. I didn't quite manage, so there's another sign of my technical ability. I didn't quite manage to put my little sticker on the map, so somebody can do that for me. I'm in Strathpeffer. I always say to people, people think I'm really young. I'm a lot older than I look, and when you look at my digital skills, you see my age shines through. The theme of today's conference, resilience, is just one that will so chime with all of us over the last few months. So I want to make very clear that the Scottish Government values the third sector and values the work that you do with the children, families, young people and adult learners right across Scotland. We're all living through unprecedented times, and I want to say a heartfelt thank you to you all of the third sector, for adapting so quickly your valuable services and delivering support to children, families, adult learners and communities, which has proved to be so vital in these challenging times. At the start of the pandemic, the Scottish Government was pleased to really quickly be able to announce the £350 million package of support to ensure that local authorities, communities and the third sector were able to continue support, often in very different ways. So everything changed overnight. The emergency funding package enabled support in a variety of ways, including the Third Sector Resilience Fund, which has so far provided 21 million to more than 1,200 organisations to help stabilise and manage cash flow over this difficult period, with around 14,000 jobs saved to date. This Supporting Communities Fund is currently investing in over 350 organisations and communities right across Scotland, with a spend of over 15 million, and the Wellbeing Fund, through which over 21 million has been allocated to over 950 third sector organisations up and down the country to support communities in need at this time. These funds were managed flexibly, not a word you usually associate with government, to ensure the best possible response to this crisis, including really rapid funding decisions, cutting through red tape, getting money to where it was needed most right across Scotland. The funding reached every part of Scotland, helping community groups and third sector organisations mobilise their local resilience plans, tackle isolation and loneliness, and provide direct support to those who are really struggling. The range and variety of what this funding delivered is absolutely phenomenal, and it shows our communities at their inspirational best. And our gratitude and thanks goes to all the organisations and volunteers who responded to the pandemic to keep people safe, connected, fed and well. The Scottish Government remains committed to enabling this work, to continue and develop our recently published Programme for Government 2021, sets out the actions right across government that we're taking to ensure that Scotland's economic, health and social recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic continues, and we're looking beyond. Through the Children and Young People, Families, Early Intervention and Adult Learning and Empowering Communities Fund, which I'm going to refer to as the fund. That is the worst name ever in the history of government. And I'm glad it's changing. So I'm just going to call it the fund from now on. We've invested over £50 million to support the third sector since 2016. In the year ahead, the extension to this fund will provide a continued investment of £14 million to provide continuity to the sector and to deliver services where they're needed the most. I've been really amazed and pleased to hear the actions that you've taken to continue to provide your valuable support during these difficult times, and particularly to those who are disproportionately impacted by the pandemic, who've experienced poverty and disadvantage. You've been at the front line, stepping forward to support those who are most vulnerable and in need. And your responses were only possible because of the experience and expertise you've gained in understanding these people and communities you've supported right throughout the years. You were already there alongside them. I'm really proud of the way the organisations in this fund and in the wider third sector have risen to the unusual challenges that they were facing. I've heard about some of you phoning every single family you work with to check in and see how they were doing and to reassure them that support was still available. And loads of you, I'm sure, have adapted completely the way that you worked, and speedily. Remember, this thing hit us really quickly. So providing support in all sorts of different ways, online, social media, and by phone. Other people developed new governance frameworks for telehealth services to ensure that client safety and confidentiality was protected at all times. And that's really important with this brand new way of working coming in overnight. Other innovations included developing an applied gaming-based approach to youth mentoring. I like the idea of that, might be beyond my technical skills. Delivering online training skills and sessions and support using online platforms and increased use of helplines. You've also had to raise funds in different ways. So selling tickets to online concerts, selling raffle tickets online, virtual sponsored walks, cycles, jumping on trampolines. The creativity absolutely knows no bounds. As you'll all know, the Scottish Government's aspiration is that all families are supported to give their children the best start in life, so that Scotland's children grow up safe, loved and respected, and that they realise their full potential. While the COVID-19 emergency response has had a significant impact on the priorities of the Scottish Government, we've remained committed to supporting families right through the emergency, with the funding I've already mentioned, which supported charities and social enterprises to provide new and additional activity to assist the people most affected by the pandemic. Some of you watching today will already be aware that the Scottish Government and Solace have jointly established a Children and Families Collective Leadership Group to consider the pandemic impacts on children, on young people and families, especially those who are in the most challenging circumstances, and the actions that need to be taken by local and national government in response. The chair of the Promise Oversight Board, Fiona Duncan, is part of this group, and a specific focus has been on ensuring that as we progress through the route map, families are able to ask for and receive the support and help that they need. Access to effective family support can be a critical factor in ensuring that a child's right to be raised safely in their own family remains a reality in all but the most exceptional of circumstances. The Deputy First Minister asked the leadership group to particularly look at developing proposals on how we could make this ambition a reality. how we could build on the good practice that already exists across Scotland, and particularly in learning from the sector's response to COVID, where new collaborations and ways of working have helped us to put the needs of families right front and centre of everything that we do. Collectively, we already know what good family support looks like and the key features that should characterise it. It needs to be holistic. It needs to be empowering for families. It needs to be rooted in trusting relationships. Help should be early and preventative at whatever levels required, whether that's universally accessible support or whether that's more targeted interventions. Above all, we need to recognise that all families, including kinship, adoptive and foster families, need support sometimes. The group's developed a vision and a blueprint focused on supporting local services to build on what's working for their families in the area. And where families' needs are not being met, the sector is being supported to find new solutions. Turning this new blueprint into reality is our next challenge, and it'll be a key step in the implementation of the promise. To support this work, the DFM announced the Promise Fund on the 16th of July with an initial funding pot of 4 million, which will be used to support early intervention and prevention work across Scotland in line with the implementation of the promise. And of course, we remain committed to the Families and Communities Fund, which is currently due to start in April 2021 to replace the fund and support delivery of activities which contribute to effective improved outcomes for children, young people and their families. We know that you're all keen for us to provide clarity about the plans for the phase ahead, and we hope to be able to provide more information about the arrangements for this soon. So thank you for inviting me today. I hope you all enjoy and participate in today's programme. I'm sorry that I have to head off very soon for an education recovery group meeting, but I know that you'll have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing and hearing about some of the outcomes from this opportunity that you're having. Thank you.